The 4% rule, the most famous retirement rule in all of personal finance. Retire with $1 million. Withdraw 4% per year, $40,000 annually. Your money lasts 30 years, never runs out. Simple. Except it's not 2001 when this rule was created. It's 2026. Interest rates are different. Inflation is different. Life expectancy is different. Market valuations are different. The 4% rule was built on data from 1926 to 1995. We're now living in 2026, 30 years later. The world has changed. Recent studies show the 4% rule has only a 75% success rate now. That means a 25% chance you run out of money before you die. Would you bet your retirement on a 75% success rate? I wouldn't. In this video, I'm showing you why the 4% rule is broken. The new data, the modern problems, and the updated withdrawal strategy that works in 2026 and beyond. This is retirement planning for the real world. Let's go. Welcome to Faceless Millionaire. No face, no courses, just real analysis of retirement strategies. Quick disclaimer. This is educational analysis, not personalized financial advice. Consult a certified financial planner. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like the video if you love our content. Let's examine the evidence. The original 4% rule was created by William Bengen in 1994. He was a financial advisor who asked a simple question: how much can retirees safely withdraw each year without running out of money? To answer this, he analyzed historical data from 1926 to 1995. 69 years of stock and bond returns. His methodology: he tested every possible 30-year retirement period in that data. Someone who retired in 1926, 1927, 1928, all the way through 1965. He tested different stock bond allocations: 50-50, 60-40, 75-25. He simulated different withdrawal rates: 3%, 4%, 5%, 6%. For each simulation, he adjusted withdrawals for inflation every year. If you withdrew $40,000 in year one and inflation was 3%, you withdrew $41,200 in year two. The result, 4%, was the safe withdrawal rate. It survived 95% of all historical 30-year periods he tested. Even the worst periods in history, the Great Depression, World War II, the 70s stagflation, 4% withdrawals survived. The classic example everyone knows: retire with $1 million. Year one, withdraw 4%. That's $40,000. Year two, withdraw $40,000 adjusted for inflation. If inflation was 3%, you withdraw $41,200. Year three, withdraw $41,200 adjusted for that year's inflation. Continue this pattern every year for 30 years. Year 30, your portfolio still has money left. You never ran out. Why this rule became so famous? 1. It's a simple rule of thumb. No complex calculations. No annual adjustments based on market performance. Just 4%. 2. Makes it easy to calculate your retirement target. Need $40,000 per year? Divide by 0.04. You need $1 million. Need $80,000 per year? You need $2 million. The math is simple. The target is clear. 3. It gave retirees confidence. You hit your number, you retire, you withdraw 4%. Don't worry about running out. The rule says you're safe. 4. Financial advisors loved it. Easy to explain to clients. Based on rigorous research. Simple to implement. But here are the assumptions baked into the 4% rule. Assumption 1. 30-year retirement. You retire at 65 and live to 95. Exactly 30 years. Assumption 2. 50-50 or 60-40 stock bond allocation. Half stocks, half bonds. or 60% stocks, 40% bonds. Moderate risk portfolio. Assumption 3, historical market returns continue. Stocks keep returning 10% average. Bonds keep returning 5% average. Assumption 4, inflation averages 3%, not 2%, not 5%, right around 3. Assumption 5, no major structural changes to markets. The future looks like the past. Same patterns, same returns. Assumption 6, you're okay with your portfolio declining. 4% doesn't mean your portfolio stays at 1 million. It might drop to 700,000, as long as it lasts 30 years. What made the 4% rule work historically, stock market returned 10% average from 1926 to 1995. Bonds returned 5% average. Inflation stayed around 3% average. There was plenty of buffer. Even if you hit a bad sequence of returns early, the portfolio recovered. But here's what changed between 1995 and 2026 that broke this rule. Problem number 1. People are living way longer. In 1994, when Bengen created the rule, average life expectancy at age 65 was 17.4 years. In 2026, average life expectancy at age 65 is 21 plus years. Medical advances, better healthcare, healthier lifestyles. People are living longer. A 30-year retirement is now common. 40-year retirements are possible. Why this breaks the 4% rule? The rule was designed and tested for 30-year retirements. If you live 35 to 40 years, the failure rate increases significantly. Real scenario, retire at 65 with $1 million. 4% withdrawal equals $40,000 per year. Live to 100. That's a 35-year retirement. Studies show a 35% chance of running out of money before age 100 with the 4% rule. Problem number 2. Sequence of returns risk. The 4% rule assumes average returns, but the order of returns matters enormously. Let me show you 2 retirees with the exact same portfolio and withdrawals, but different sequences. Retiree a lucky sequence, years 1 through 5, market up 8% average. Portfolio growing despite withdrawals, years 6 through 30, market flatter down. But the damage is already done. Portfolio is large enough from good early years. 4% rule works fine. Money lasts. Retiree B unlucky sequence, years 1 through 5, market crashes 20%. Like 2000 to 2002, or 2008 financial crisis. You're withdrawing 4% from a portfolio that's dropping. You're forced to sell stocks at the bottom to fund withdrawals. Years 6 through 30, market recovers. But the damage was done in the first 5 years. You sold too much too early. Run out of money by year 25. This isn't theoretical. This happened to real retirees. Retired in 2000 with 4% rule, .com crash year 1 and 2. Portfolio down 40%, still withdrawing 4%. But now that's 6.7% of the crash portfolio. Many of these retirees ran out of money by 2020. Retired in 2008 with 4% rule, financial crisis year 1. Portfolio down 50%, still withdrawing 4%. That's now 8% of the crashed portfolio. These retirees are in danger of running out by 2030. The cruel reality, 2 people with identical portfolios and identical withdrawal rates can have completely different outcomes based solely on when they retired. Problem number 3. Lower expected returns going forward. Historical returns that Bengen used: stocks, 10% average annual return bonds, 5% average annual return inflation, 3% average. Expected returns for 2026 forward, according to most analysts: stocks, 7 to 8%. Lower due to higher starting valuations. Bonds, 3 to 4%. Lower interest rate environment than the 80s and 90s. Inflation, 3 to 4%. Higher recent average. Why this matters: the 4% rule was built on 10% stock returns. If stocks only return 7%, there's less growth to support withdrawals. If bonds return 3% instead of 5%, there's less income. Portfolio grows slower. Withdrawals depleted faster. Higher failure rate. Problem number 4. Higher starting valuations today. CAPE ratio, cyclically adjusted price to earnings ratio. 1994 average CAPE. 15 to 20. Reasonable valuations. 2026 average CAPE, over 30. Expensive market. There's a mathematically proven correlation. Higher valuations today equals lower returns tomorrow. What this means for retirees: starting retirement when markets are cheap, 4% rule works great. Starting retirement when markets are expensive, 4% rule is much riskier. We're currently at high valuations. That's a problem. Problem number 5. Higher recent inflation. The 4% rule assumes 3% annual inflation. You withdraw 40,000 year 1, 41,200 year 2, 3% higher. The reality from 2021 to 2026, inflation spiked to 9% in 2022. Stayed elevated at 4 to 5% through 2023 to 2026. If you're adjusting your 4% withdrawal by 5% inflation instead of 3%, you're withdrawing more in real dollars. Portfolio depletes faster. Problem number 6. Lower bond yields. Historical bond yields when the 4% rule was created. 1980s to 1990s, 7 to 10% on 10-year Treasury bonds. Bonds provided significant income plus safety. Current bond yields in 2026, 10-year Treasury, 4 to 5%. Much lower income from the bond portion of your portfolio. This forces retirees into more stocks to get growth, which means more risk, more volatility. The combined effect of all 6 problems: original 4% rule success rate based on 1926 to 1995 data, 95%. Current 4% rule success rate, 2026 forward projections, 75 to 80%. That's a 15 to 20% failure rate. 1 in 5 retirees using 4% today will run out of money. Would you risk your retirement on 75% odds? Most people wouldn't risk it on a coin flip. This is only slightly better. So what's the solution? Here are the new withdrawal strategies that actually work in 2026. Strategy number 1, the 3.5% rule. The conservative approach. How it works: withdraw 3.5% instead of 4%. Simple modification. Big impact. Provides a larger buffer for all the problems we just discussed. Accounts for longer retirement. Handles sequence risk better. Compensates for lower expected returns. Success rate, 95% plus even with current market conditions. The math: need 40,000 per year? 4% rule, save $1 million. 3.5% rule, save $1,143,000. Need 60,000 per year? 4% rule, 1.5 million. 3.5% rule, 1.714 million. Need 80,000 per year? 4% rule, 2 million. 3.5% rule, 2.286 million. Pros: much safer, 95% success rate. Handles sequence risk better. Lasts longer if you live to 100. Peace of mind. Cons: need to save more money. Takes longer to reach retirement. Lower annual income from same portfolio. Who should use the 3.5% rule? Retiring before age 60 long. Retirement ahead. Very risk-averse personality. No pension or Social Security income. Want maximum safety. Strategy number 2. Dynamic withdrawal. The recommended approach. How it works: adjust your withdrawals based on your portfolio's performance each year. Good year, your portfolio is up. Withdraw more, up to 5%. Bad year, your portfolio is down. Withdraw less, down to 3%. You're flexible. You respond to market reality. Not locked into a rigid 4%. The formula: start with 4% as your base withdrawal rate. If your portfolio is up year over year, withdraw 4.5 to 5% of current value. If your portfolio is down year over year, withdraw 3 to 3.5% of current value. Recalculate every January 1st based on December 31st portfolio value. Example showing how this works. Year 1, $1 million portfolio. Withdraw 40,000. Year 2, portfolio grew to 1.08 million. Good year. Withdraw 4.5% of 1.08 million. That's 48,600. Year 3, market crashed. Portfolio dropped to 950,000. Bad year. Withdraw 3.25% of 950,000. That's 30,875. Tighten your belt. Reduce spending. Year 4, market recovered. Portfolio back to 1.05 million. Withdraw 4% of 1.05 million. That's 42,000. Year 5, great year. Portfolio at 1.15 million. Withdraw 4.5%. That's 51,750. Continue this pattern. Adjust every year based on reality. Pros: higher success rate 90% plus. Allows flexibility in spending. Takes advantage of good market years. Protects portfolio in bad years. Don't need to. Save more than 4% rule target. Cons: unpredictable annual income. Harder to budget. Requires discipline to actually cut spending in bad years. Some years you might need to reduce lifestyle. Who should use dynamic withdrawal? Flexible spending needs can adjust lifestyle. Can handle variable income. Want higher success rate without saving substantially more. Good at budgeting and discipline. Strategy number 3, the guardrails approach. The middle ground. How it works: set upper and lower spending guardrails. Adjust withdrawals only when you hit a guardrail. Otherwise, keep spending steady. The setup: start with $1 million. 4% withdrawal equals 40,000 per year. Set upper guardrail plus 20%. That's 48,000. Set lower guardrail minus 20%. That's 32,000. Monitor your portfolio value every year. Decision rules: if portfolio grows substantially day to 1.4 million, you hit the upper guardrail. Increase spending to 48,000 per year. If portfolio drops substantially, say, to 750,000, you hit the lower guardrail. Decrease spending to 32,000 per year. If portfolio stays between 750,000 and 1.4 million, keep spending 40,000. No changes. Pros: more predictable than full dynamic. Still protects against sequence risk. Only adjust when absolutely necessary. Success rate 85 to 90%. Good balance of safety and predictability. Cons: can still require spending cuts. Requires annual monitoring. More complex than simple 4%. Need to calculate. Guardrails. Who should use guardrails? Want some spending predictability. Can handle occasional adjustments, but not no. Looking for middle ground between rigid and dynamic. Disciplined enough to cut when hitting lower guardrail. Strategy number 4, the bucket strategy. The psychological comfort approach. How it works: divide your portfolio into 3 buckets with different time horizons. Bucket 1, 2 to 3 years of expenses in cash and short-term bonds. Bucket 2, 7 to 10 years of expenses in intermediate-term bonds. Bucket 3, 10 plus years in stocks for long-term growth. The withdrawal approach. Always withdraw from bucket 1. Cash and short-term bonds. Low volatility. Every year, refill bucket 1 by moving money from bucket 2. When stocks are up, refill bucket 2 from bucket 3. Key rule: never sell stocks during market crashes. You're living off buckets 1 and 2. Example with $1 million portfolio. Bucket 1, 80,000, 2 years of 40,000 expenses in cash or money market. Bucket 2, 320,000, 8 years of expenses in intermediate bonds. Bucket 3, 600,000 on-term growth. In stocks, during a market crash, bucket 3 drops 30%, now worth 420,000. But you don't touch it. You're living off bucket 1. Refill bucket 1 from bucket 2. Bonds are stable. Wait for bucket 3 to recover before refilling bucket 2. You're never forced to sell stocks at the bottom. This avoids sequence risk. Pros: never forced to sell stocks during crashes. Psychological comfort: you can see years of cash available. Smooth, predictable income. Success rate 85 to 90%. Reduces panic during volatility. Cons: complex to set up and manage. May underperform if too conservative, too much in non. Requires rebalancing. Discipline: need to actively manage 3 buckets. Who should use bucket strategy? Very risk-averse, can't handle seeing stocks drop. Want guaranteed income for multiple years. Willing to actively manage buckets. Psychological comfort is worth complexity. Now let me show you the exact decision framework for choosing which strategy to use. Let me walk you through the decision tree. If you're retiring before 60 years old, use 3.5% rule or dynamic withdrawal. Why? You potentially need a 35 to 40-year portfolio. 4% is too risky. Safety first. If you're retiring between 60 and 65, use dynamic withdrawal or guardrails approach. Why? 30 to 35-year retirement timeline. You need some protection but have flexibility. Balance safety with income. If you're retiring after 70, you can probably use 4% or even 4.5%. Why? Shorter retirement period. 20 to 25 years. Higher withdrawal rates are safer. Less sequence risk concern with shorter timeline. Do you have a pension or Social Security? If yes, you have pension or Social Security, you can use 4 to 4.5% from your portfolio. Why? Pension covers your baseline living expenses. Portfolio is supplemental income. Less pressure. If no pension or Social Security, use 3.5% or dynamic withdrawal. Why? Your portfolio is your only income. Must be extremely conservative. Safety is critical. Are you flexible on spending? If yes, you're flexible on spending, use dynamic withdrawal strategy. Why? If you can adjust spending up and down, dynamic gives you the highest success rate without requiring huge savings. Best risk-reward ratio. If no, you need very predictable income. Use guardrails or bucket strategy. Why? Less year-to-year variance. More predictable. Peace of mind. Slightly lower success rate, but psychologically easier. The recommended stock bond allocation for each strategy. 3.5% rule. 60% stocks, 40% bonds. Conservative portfolio. Lower volatility. Dynamic withdrawal. 70% stocks, 30% bonds. More growth potential. You can handle volatility because you adjust withdrawals. Guardrails approach. 65% stocks, 35% bonds. Balanced. Moderate volatility. Bucket strategy. Overall 60% stocks, 40% bonds. But distributed. Bucket 1, 100% cash, short bonds. Bucket 2, 100% intermediate bonds. Bucket 3, 100% stocks. Let me show you what each of these strategies looks like in actual 30-year simulations. Scenario: you retire in 2026 with $1 million. You need $40,000 per year to live. Let's see what happens with each strategy over 30 years if the market crashes 30% in year 2. Strategy 1, traditional 4% rule. Year 1, withdraw $40,000. Year 2, market crashes 30%. Portfolio drops to $700,000. But you still withdraw $41,200 Plashin adjusted from $40,000. Year 5, portfolio at $650,000. You're withdrawing 6% of current value, $83,000 from $650. Year 15, portfolio at $480,000. Year 25, Portfolio at 120,000. Critical danger zone. Year 28, money runs out completely. Failed. Ran out 2 years before 30-year mark. Strategy 2, 3.5% rule. Year 1, withdraw 35,000, 3.5% of 1 million. Year 2, market crashes 30%. Portfolio at 700,000. Withdraw 36,050 adjusted, but lower base. Year 5, portfolio at 720,000. Still healthy. Year 15, portfolio recovered to 780,000. Year 25, portfolio at 820,000. Year 30, portfolio still at 650,000. Success. Money lasted the full 30 years and still has cushion. Strategy 3, dynamic withdrawal. Year 1, withdraw 40,000, 4% of 1 million. Year 2, market crashes. Portfolio at 933,000 after withdrawal and crash. Reduced to 3%. Withdraw 28,000. Tighten belt significantly. Year 3, market stays flat. Still withdraw 28,000. Year 4, market recovers. Portfolio at 1.01 million. Increase to 4%. Withdraw 38,000. Year 5, great year. Portfolio at 1.1 million. Increase to 4.5%. Withdraw 44,000. Lifestyle improves. Continue adjusting up and down based on market performance. Year 30, portfolio at 880,000. Success. Money lasted and actually grew despite volatile withdrawals. Strategy 4, guardrails approach. Year 1, withdraw 40,000. Set guardrails at 32,000 and 48,000. Year 2, market crashes. Portfolio at 700,000. This triggers the lower guardrail. Reduce spending to 32,000. Year 5, portfolio recovers to 920,000. Back within guardrails. Return to 40,000 spending. Year 10, portfolio at 1.2 million. Triggers upper guardrail. Increase spending to 48,000. Year 30, portfolio at 950,000. Success. Money lasted with only 2 adjustments year 2 and year 10. Strategy 5. Bucket strategy. Years 1 and 2, withdraw 40,000 from bucket 1. Year 2, market crashes. But you're not selling stock. Bucket 3 drops 30%, but you leave it alone. Refill bucket 1 from bucket 2. Bonds are stable. Year 5, stocks recovered. Refill bucket 2 from bucket 3. Year 30, portfolio at 820,000. Success. Money lasted. Never forced to sell stocks during crash. Success rates in modern Monte Carlo simulations, 2026 forward assumptions. 4% rule, 75% success rate. 3.5%. Rule, 95% success rate. Dynamic withdrawal, 92% success rate. Guardrails, 88% success rate. Bucket strategy, 87% success rate. Here's the exact action plan for implementing whichever strategy you choose. Step 1. Calculate your retirement number. Using 4% rule, SKIA in 2026, annual expenses divided by 0.04 equals retirement target. Need 60,000 per year? 1.5 million target. Using 3.5% rule, annual expenses divided by 0.035 equals retirement target. Need 60,000 per year? 1.714 million target. Using dynamic withdrawal, annual expenses divided by 0.04 equals initial target. Need 60,000 per year? 1.5 million target. But be mentally prepared to cut to 45,000 in bad years. Step 2. Choose your strategy based on age at retirement, earlier due, more conservative. Flexibility of spending, DEXable, dynamic works. Other income sources means less pressure. Risk tolerance, 3.5% or bucket. Health and life expectancy, expecting to live to 100 DEX more. Conservative. Step 3. Set up your portfolio. Choose your stock bond allocation. 3.5%, 60-40. Dynamic, 70-30. Guardrails, 65-35. Bucket, distributed across. Buckets. Open accounts at Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab. If using bucket strategy, set up 3 separate accounts or track buckets within one account. Rebalance annually to maintain target allocation. Step 4. Create your withdrawal system. Set up monthly withdrawals from cash or bond positions. Divide annual amount by 12. Annual review every January 1st. If dynamic, calculate new withdrawal rate based on portfolio performance. If guardrails, check if you hit upper or lower guardrail limits. Step 5. Monitor and adjust. Review portfolio value every year. Adjust spending based on your chosen strategy. Rebalance to target allocation. Update monthly withdrawal amount for next year. Technology tools to help. Personal Capital Free tracks portfolio automatically. Vanguard Retirement Income Calculator. Fidelity Retirement Score Tool. CFIRSM.com. Monte Carlo simulations for your specific situation. What if you're already retired using the 4% rule? Here's what to do. If you retired using 4% rule and it's working so far, don't panic. Don't make drastic changes, but monitor closely. Consider switching to dynamic withdrawal or guardrails for added protection. Build flexibility into your spending plan. If you retired recently and the market has dropped significantly, this is critical. This is sequence risk playing out in real time. Reduce withdrawals immediately. Switch to 3% until recovery. Protecting your portfolio now can save your entire retirement. The first 5 years are the most important. If your portfolio value is down from when you started retirement, cut spending by 10 to 20%. Consider part-time work if possible. If you haven't taken Social Security yet, delay it to let it grow. Consider downsizing your home to free up equity. If your portfolio value is up from when you started retirement, you're probably fine with 4%. But consider switching to guardrails for future protection. Enjoy the buffer. You've been lucky with sequence of returns. The annual review process for retirees. 1. Check portfolio value every January 1st. 2. Compare to your portfolio value when you started retirement. 3. Calculate percentage change. Up? Down? By how much? 4. Decide next year's withdrawal rate. Portfolio up 20% or more. Withdraw 4.5%. Portfolio up 0 to 20%. Withdraw 4%. Portfolio down 0 to 20%. Withdraw 3.5%. Portfolio down 20% or more. Withdraw 3%. 5. Adjust your monthly income accordingly. The hard truth about retirement. Retirement is not set it and forget it. It requires annual monitoring and potential adjustments. You may need to reduce spending in bad years. Flexibility equals survival. Rigidity equals risk of running out. The summary. The 4% rule worked in 1994. Based on solid research. 95% success rate. But it's broken in 2026. The conditions have fundamentally changed. Lower expected returns. Longer retirements. Higher starting valuations. Sequence risk. Higher inflation. Lower bond yields. The new strategies for modern retirement. 3.5% rule, safest approach. Requires more savings. 95% success rate. Dynamic withdrawal, best risk-reward ratio. Requires spending flexibility. 92% success rate. Guardrails, middle ground. Some predictability with protection. 88% success rate. Bucket strategy, psychological comfort. Never sell stocks in crashes. 87% success rate. The action plan. 1. Calculate retirement target with 3.5% or 4% if using 9. 2. Choose strategy based on age, flexibility, other income, and risk tolerance. 3. Set up portfolio with appropriate stock bond allocation. 4. Monitor annually and adjust withdrawals. 5. Be flexible. Retirement requires active management, not autopilot. The critical mindset shift. The 4% rule was a starting point. Not gospel. Not perfect. Not guaranteed. Modern retirement requires active management and monitoring. Flexibility and annual adjustments beat rigid rules in changing conditions. Success rate matters more than simplicity. 75% isn't good enough. For more retirement strategies, the Complete Money Roadmap for Building Toward Retirement. $7,000 Roth IRA strategy for tax-free withdrawal source. Investing in 20s versus 30s versus 40s for building retirement portfolio. Now I want to hear from you. Are you using the 4% rule? Or have you adopted one of these modern strategies? Drop your retirement withdrawal plan in the comments. If this video changed how you think about retirement withdrawals, hit that like button. Subscribe to Faceless Millionaire for more retirement strategies backed by modern research. Important disclaimer. This is educational analysis of retirement withdrawal strategies based on historical data and modern research. Not personalized financial or retirement advice. Every retirement situation is unique. Consult a certified financial planner before making retirement decisions. The 4% rule has worked for many people historically. This video examines whether it still works today. Remember, the 4% rule worked for the past. These strategies work for the future. Your retirement deserves better than a 75% success rate. I'll see you in the next one.